Everyone, thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Sonia Siddiqui, and joining us today is Vivian Lee from RBC. Hi, Vivian. Oh, Vivian, you're muted.
Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here today. And I'm the senior manager from RBC's Inclusive Recruitment. We have done partnership with ACCES in the past for many different webinars. As today's webinar is a little bit different. It's after you get hired, what are the things to keep in mind to develop your career in Canada? So look forward to it.
That's right. So I'm really excited about this one because we've been doing a lot of different webinars for pre-employment and, how to get a job. But what do you do once you do have a job? It's still a bit of a shock. There's lots of new things to learn. So it's great that we have Vivian who's going to walk us through it today. Just a few things before we get started. Just note that you are all on listen only mode, so we won't be able to hear you. But Vivian, as always, will take your questions after her presentation. For that, please type your questions into the Q&A tab. And for best results, please use a laptop or a desktop computer using Google Chrome as your browser. And you will get a recording of the webinar a few hours after the webinar in your emails. So stay tuned for that if you want to watch it again, if you'd like to share it. And your feedback is always important to us. So please do fill out the survey at the end of the webinar. And just to tell you a little bit about ACCES, we've been around for over 30 years helping job seekers such as yourselves. We work with over 2,200 employers. We have different partnerships with different organizations and associations and sponsors such as RBC. RB's committed to doing 2 webinars with us a month. That's why you see Vivian very often. She always comes back, and it's always great to have her back as well. We do have over 30 tailored programs, which include our sector-specific bridging program, our pre-arrival program, and programs for women, programs for youth. So check out our website to see if you'd be eligible for any of our programs. We do have 7 locations in the GTA. However, we are currently running all of our delivery, all of our programs online virtually. So take advantage of that. You don't have to commute in this weather. You can enjoy your program and attend it from the comfort of your own home. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Vivian.
Yeah, thanks, Sonia. So if you could move to the next slide, I believe there's a welcome. So today, RBC has a lot of commitment to newcomer space, both for the talent side and our client and community side. So today, I'm going to talk very, very briefly about our commitment to diversity and inclusion, and especially our commitment to newcomers, and then we will dive right in. I know that there are fewer attendees today, and the benefit of that is that every one of you gets a lot of individual attention. So ask all the questions you have in mind. I just want to point out that we have hosted a lot of webinars on job searching. So today's focus would be on your career development. So if you had any job searching related questions, I would invite you to hold those off or listen to our previous webinar so that we can focus this on the career journey you have in Canada. Okay, so Sonia, if we could move to the next slide, please. A little bit about me. I am an immigrant myself. I came from China many years ago, but it wasn't easy to start a career and look for jobs in Canada. That's why I'm very passionate about helping newcomers not only find a job but to really build a successful career in Canada. And by the end of the day, we all come to Canada for a more prosperous life for ourselves, for our children, for the next generation, right? So that's why I'm here. I have been working in recruitment for the last 7 years, and then we focus more on the inclusive and the diversity side of recruitment, which means we support those candidates who would traditionally face employment barriers, like newcomers, right? And we know there are a lot of talented individuals there, so that's why we want to support you in your job searching journey and in your career. So Sonia, if you could move to the next one. Just a little bit about RBC. I think because RBC is considered #1 brand in Canada for many years, so I know you all know. One thing I want to point out is a lot of people think about RBC and think about jobs. They would say, "Oh, I'm not a finance major." Right, so that's why I don't think RBC would be my potential employer. I want to point out that we have so many different business segments. Other than what's showing here, there are also supporting functions like technology and operation. RBC is the largest private employer for IT talent in Canada. We also have HR, we have communications, we have different segments of the job family. So if you want to explore a career, I would definitely encourage you to go to our website. And you can see all those amazing awards that we've got. That's the effort of our 80,000 employees, globally, but 60% of our operation are in Canada. So Sonia, if you could move to the next one, just a few words about our, diversity effort. We really have that hiring practice of hiring from the community to serve the community. So we serve our clients in over 200 languages, and a lot of our, branch employees, they are newcomers just like yourself. They're either first or second generation immigrants who can speak the community they come from, right? So that's something we're very proud of. We had a lot of diversity focus on women and promote women's career, and over 45% of our executives are women, and over 35% of our workforce are visible minorities. By visible minority means you're non-white by color, non-Caucasian by race. So a lot of immigrants fall under that. So that means that, either first or second generation, your immigrants are third generation. So over 30% of 35% of our workforce are immigrants, and the numbers are rising every year because of the immigrants' impact in Canada's population growth and economy, right? So once you joined, there are a lot of different, engagement, employee resource groups that you can join to really develop your career further and to network with, people of the same interest, and have a lot of mentoring events and opportunities. Another thing I want to point out, because this is, about really employment and
career,
right? We're very proud that over 40% of our Canadian recruiters are also first or second generation immigrants. Why that matters so much? That helps us really champion the newcomer talent within RBC, help us address some potential hiring biases, and really take that dialogue with our hiring managers. So that's why we're very, very proud that we're able to achieve this very high percentage of our recruiters that are from the different ethnicity backgrounds, right? So next one, please, Sonia, talk a little bit about our commitment to newcomers. So we have been hosting many, many workshops, including events like this. Sometimes we do it in person, sometimes we do webinar and online virtual workshops. And of course, in COVID situation, we host more. All of our workshops and events are virtual. So far we have hosted like over 50. That's just what we have tracked in Toronto based, more of my team, but RBC overall, there's definitely a lot more numbers of events supporting newcomers. if you do not know, I would definitely highlight some of our key initiatives that can help you when you're doing job search or try to launch your career in Canada. We have a newcomer meeting place. So we're originally we have two places. One is in Brampton in Toronto, the other one is in Markham. And we're expanding those newcomer meeting places across Canada. So what we do is we provide value-added services. So you don't have to be an RBC employee client to come to our place and enjoy our services. So if you're a newcomer, if you have any question on your mind, either is about how to file your taxes or how to find a job, or how about health services in Canada, you have a question, you come to our center, and the center employees, they are newcomers and immigrants themselves, so they would find information for you. A lot of times they host webinars and events and try to provide the frequently asked questions, and those host those events to provide answer to those questions. So very, very unique resource for you to utilize. That definitely shows RBC's commitment to the newcomer community, really beyond, we want you to open a bank card with us, but really we're here to serve you. We're on the same journey as you. RBC Arrive is another great community-based initiative, right? So Arrive is more of a RBC venture. So what they do is they, when you're doing job search and when you're new in Canada, they would connect you with some existing, a lot of the existing people who already have launched their career in Canada, but they're also immigrants. So they connect you and really try to form a kind of community that people share the best practices, share tips and advice, and you feel that kind of supported environment. They also host different webinars on, say, how to do your resume, how to prepare yourself for interview, some very, very informative sessions. One more thing I want to highlight is the Career Edge. I don't know whether anybody have heard of Career Edge. It's an internship. It's a contractor slash internship program. Basically, that means you are not paid as high as the full-time employee. However, what this program offers is, you get your foot in the door. You get your first Canadian experience in Canada's largest bank, right? So we are the largest, RBC's largest host with this Career Edge internship. So we post some internship opportunities. You come to work with us for 6 to 12 months. And by the end of the internship, it really depends on your performance and whether the hiring team has the resource and budget to convert you. So there is an opportunity for you to become RBC full-time employee, or after you get this valuable experience, you can, it's a very good piece of information to be added to your resume. It'll help you find employment elsewhere. So according to Career Edge statistic, over 70% of their interns end up finding full-time opportunities, either with the host company like RBC or elsewhere. So that's a great option to consider if you are new to the country. The last thing I want to highlight is TRIAC mentorship. So RBC really partner with different community partners like ACCES and the TRIAC. The TRIAC is it's Toronto-based, but they have expanded their program to across Canada. So they basically pair you up with a mentor who already is working in the industry that you're interested in. So this mentor will spend the next 3-4 months with you, and you book maybe a weekly checkpoint, a monthly checkpoint, a bi-weekly. It's up to you. And if you have any questions in your job search, the mentor will offer support and really help you expand your network as well. So those are the few things I feel that might be beneficial to you if you're a newcomer and you're in searching jobs and really try to expand your network. So let's dive right into the topic today. So I don't know, Sonia, you're able to set up the pool to see how many of the participants who are listening already got a job, or how many of you, what's the percentage you're looking for a job, but you're interested in this topic? So, you know, feel free to answer a question on the polling portion of the webinar. It's just an interest, and I want to balance how much time I spend on each topic, and you know, to make sure that I balance the audience interest. Do we have any result, Sonia, on your end?
Yes, I'm seeing some here. Just give them a few more moments. Okay, so for everyone, if you can take a look at the poll, just respond either A or B, either you're employed or unemployed and looking for a job, or you're currently employed. All right, so I will go. We still have people polling, so okay, I'll give a few more seconds. Okay, so I'm going to close the poll. Oh, it's still giving you a few more seconds. Good. All right, so I'm going to share the poll results with everyone. Are you able to see it?
Yes, I'm able to see. So a lot of you are really are looking for a job, but you're interested in the information today. So I think that's fair, because you know, eventually you will all land an offer. Believe me. You know, I know now it seems a little bit, you know, sometimes you get frustrated, sometimes seems hopeless, but as long as you you know, follow the right advice from different employment agencies and do your homework, eventually you will land there. So Sonia, if you can, you know, go to the next slide, please. So one day you will receive an offer from the employer, say, congrats, you are hired, right? So what are the things to keep in mind? Because if you could go to the next slide, Sonia. So as I was preparing, something's missing. Something's not showing. So Sonia, maybe I can share the slide on my part, because the first part is not showing for some reason. Okay, thank you. Can you give me the host? Yeah, thank you. So I'm going to show my screen. Sorry about that. Can everyone see my screen now? Oh.
Yeah, it's just
okay. Okay, that's why, because we need to click. Okay, sorry. Okay. So I want to talk from different stages. One is when you're onboarding, like you know, the first day, before the first day, the first few weeks, And then you get used to, going to work every day. So how do you manage your day-to-day? There are some tips that I want to go through. And really, by the end of the day, you want to develop your career, right? You want to build a successful career in Canada. So what are the things to keep in mind as a newcomer? And that's something that's really dear to my heart because I'm the immigrant. I've gone through different levels of career journey. So I'm very happy to be able to share some of my learnings as well. And also, because I work in the diversity field and some of the challenges and the barriers that immigrants face, even after they get a job, right? So let's go through this, and I know that you guys might have some questions, and then we can dig a little bit deeper. So, on your first day or before your first day, I put in the point of the expectation of Canadian workplace team and yourself, right? Why? Because, when I think about the expectations, a lot of newcomers, you maybe just landed in Canada for a few months or maybe less than a year. So a lot of our thinking pattern are still with the home country. So if I'm from China, and a lot of my thinking pattern was compare Canada to my home country, right? So there are a lot of things that I love about Canada. There are a lot of things I love about China. And when you come to the workplace, it's very natural that you compare, what was my old job like, the environment and how people welcome me on my first day. And in Canada, I got to say, you do not expect, especially for a lot of large companies, you do not have the expectation that on your first day, everything would be set up for you. Like you come, you can work from day one. Usually the system access and all that computer, whether you have the phone set up, whether, you have the manager who are going to be there with you on the first day, that's going to take between 1 week to 2 weeks and sometimes takes a month for everything to set up and for you to be able to work. It really depends on different organizations and how effective and efficient their onboarding process is. So have that expectation that do not disappoint, feel disappointed. Oh, the first day or the first week, I still cannot work yet. And that's very, very true in a lot of workplaces. And I personally have experienced that. So you got to, really teach yourself that this is the bullet point I put down. This is a long journey. So take your time. Do not get stressed out if you have access issue or if you have a huge learning curve. Oh, I didn't understand this. When I was being interviewed, I didn't know that they asked me to do like 50% of the additional job than what they told me in the interview, right? So it's a long journey. Take your time and do not stress yourself out. And give yourself between 0 to 6 months to really allow that learning curve to happen, right? If you put too much stress on yourself, that's going to create additional anxiety. That's not going to help at all. And the other thing is, the expectation of a Canadian workplace. Sometimes a lot of immigrants, based on the Canadian survey, immigrants are undervalued and underpaid. What does that mean? That you either take a job to survive, or you take a job that's not survival type of job that you used to be, say, commercial account manager. Now you are hired into a very entry level role, like a branch manager, right? And the pay, you used to, be very well respected in the workplace, and now you might be a team leader that leads 50 people, and now you're the individual contributor. So that's why they set the right expectation and adjust your mindset. That's so important. I think we as newcomers, we have all gone through that, and And really do not think this is your first job and this is going to be your future for the rest of your life in Canada. This is just something for you to learn. You take all the opportunities that that this job offers you to learn about Canadian workplace, and then understand the culture. Really take the time to observe, and that's very important. And the other portion, or the opposite side of the newcomer hires, you might come to the job and realize, I really don't know enough to do the job. And that's something, it's not a disappointment, but it's more like, am I a fraud here? Why do they hire me? Right? What I want to ensure you is everybody who's new in the role, whether you're new Canadians or you have been working in a Canadian workplace for many years, everybody goes through that kind of psychological thinking that I'm not good enough. Am I good enough? And there are so much things I don't know. So that's another expectation you need to set right for yourself. Really allow yourself the opportunity to learn. Do not, say, oh, I do not know 100% of the answers, then my manager is going to fire me. Really take it easy and allow yourself the time to learn. And another thing I want to mention, especially for newcomers, is we want to impress our employers, right? We want to really show that they made the right decision to hire us. But a lot of times we hesitate to ask questions. And for certain countries, they do not really, for the culture you come from, maybe they don't encourage you to ask questions. In Canadian workplace, it's okay and it's encouraged to ask questions. If you have questions about your job and about your, certain even logistic things, because it can be confusing to you, especially for a new Canadian who does not know the workplace, all those ins and outs. For example, when I first got my first job, I was so confused about the benefit plan. They have so many different options and what to choose, and my mind was going to explode. I remember I'm still a little bit confused after all these years because they have different acronyms for different options and all that. Just feel free to ask questions. Most employers, they have the employee helpline. If you feel like I feel embarrassed to ask questions, awkward, right? You can call their employee helpline and they have a lot of answers for you. And the other thing is, you might want to, you might think, I don't want to bother my manager. They seem so busy. You can, really collect a list of questions. And when you have your one-on-one time, go through a list of questions. If they cannot help you, can you ask them, can you assign a peer, a mentor to me so that I can ask all those questions to that someone from the team? So really, to be very efficient and effectively onboarded as much as possible, is ask questions. So do not feel shy about asking questions, right? And choose the different people that you think this person is appropriate to ask this question, that person is more appropriate to ask that question. So those are some things that I can think of that when you are just very, very new in the role. So just say, like, after you have stayed in the job for a few weeks, a few months, and now everything becomes a regular practice, day to day, what are the things to keep in mind? First thing is workplace etiquette. Why I want to mention that, because we're from different cultures, right? And we're observing, when we enter the Canadian workplace, we're observing, how the co-workers treat each other, how they talk to each other, and how you talk to your manager, and et cetera, et cetera. I think this is something that we learn as we go, and we don't really need to require ourselves to know everything at the very beginning. But sometimes, Canadians are very polite, right? They do not really tell you if you did something awkward or something, they would say, oh, that's very interesting. They wouldn't say, hey, don't do that. If you are lucky enough to have a manager to tell you, don't do this, don't do that, or a co-worker who would tell you, then you should consider yourself lucky, even though they might appear to be blunt, but that actually saves you a lot of effort in the future in your career development. So one thing I want to highlight is, as immigrants, we all come from a single culture country. Like I come from China, right? I have the Chinese culture, and you might be from India, from any. You have different. Everybody has different religious background. In Canadian workplace, most likely you are going to be working with a diverse team, and there might be people who are of different ethnicity background, of different religious backgrounds, or different schools, different gender or sexual orientation, people with visible or invisible disabilities, right? So it's going to be very, very different than the country you come from and then your old workplace. And then one thing I want to encourage everybody is really develop the diversity and the inclusion mindset. It is extremely, extremely important. And do not take assumptions about anybody. Just take the time to understand why they act and speak the way they are, and treat everybody with respect. That's the basic, right? Everybody needs to keep in mind. And the other thing, why it's important is you don't want to stay in this job for the rest of your career, right? And you want to develop yourself into, maybe you're hired in as an individual contributor, and you want to become a team lead, right? And to be able to become a team lead, one of the key capabilities, you are able to lead a diverse team. So how do you demonstrate that you're going to really build that synergy among all the team members? So that's very important to show to your future boss, hey, I'm ready because I can work with diverse team. I can manage the conflicts. I can, really bring the most innovation after the team who bring diversity of thought. So how do you demonstrate yourself? That's something that you need to start thinking from, the early stage of your career, and really show your curiosity about the other cultures, about the other person, why they, LGBTQ, because for a lot of people, a lot of cultures, being gay, it's not really accepted in your culture or in your home country. But I'm curious why, in your religion, maybe being gay is illegal, or but in Canada, it's encouraged that we try to understand where each other is coming from, so that, we can all bring our true, authentic self to work. Maybe in your culture, women are treated differently than men. There are many cases in the workplace where a male refuse to shake hands with female, or refuse to follow their female women leaders' instructions, and that's created a lot of conflict and a lot of challenges in the workplace. So I want everybody to keep that in mind, just to really encourage yourself and allow yourself to look at the individual and your team member beyond the skin color, their religion, their sexual orientation, the country they're from. Really seek that common ground. So that's really important. Some key point about business communication, because we're hired, right? And some of us might have a communication barriers because English is not first language. So a lot of newcomers might feel very shy to speak up, right? So I want to talk from both sides, the key to business communication and speak up for inclusion, why that's so important. Because when you're new to a workplace, and then when you're new to a new country, to a new culture, very, very naturally, you try to stay in your own comfort zone. which means you do not speak up in the team meetings. Even though you have an idea, you hesitate to ask questions, even though you have that question might be vital or very, very important for you to complete certain tasks. And that will prove to become the barrier for your career advancement if you do not really take the opportunity to step out of your comfort zone to speak up. From business communication perspective, I think a lot of times as an immigrant, you should utilize the advantage of being an immigrant. In what way? Because a lot of times we feel, oh, my English is not first language. That's why I hesitate to speak up because people will laugh at me. I will make pronunciation and grammar mistakes. But keep in mind, the key to business communication is to convey the idea, right? So by the end of the day, it is not your pronunciation that matters. It is your ability to connect with another individual. It is not the grammar that matters. It is your ability to sell an idea, to convey your ideas to the team and maybe to your client. So keeping that in mind and remove that barrier of people's going to laugh at me, I'm not going to be able to speak perfect English. So that's on that side. And the other thing is, the key to communication is really concise, clear, and communicate, right? Think about concise and clear and communicate. A lot of times when you see, say at workplace, I know my Canadian colleagues, they can use very big words, very long sentences and long paragraphs, but it's not very effective when you're in a business environment. Sometimes when you're writing the inspirational speech, like Martin Luther King, yes, I have a dream. You can expand your expressions and, really write something inspirational. But in day-to-day regular business communications, keep it concise, keep it to the point and clear. And that is something that immigrants, especially people whose English is not a first language, that to some extent you have an advantage, because we do not know a lot of fancy words. We know that they very concise and clear and the key words. So use bullet point in your communication, right? This is what I'm going to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then please let me know if you need additional information. Do not write in long paragraphs, because your information and the key of your ask will be lost and you will not be able to get the attention. So when you write business emails back and forth, right? One thing is make sure that you do not use too much acronyms, because for example, like LOL, now we all know is laugh out loud, but in a lot of business environment, if there's any technical, acronyms, try to understand, get an understanding first, whether your team and people you are communicating with would understand that. If no, spell that out. And the other thing is, what's the etiquette of responding to email? Usually, you should respond within at least 48 hours of you receiving it. Even though you're actioning on it, you can let other people know, this is taken care of. I will get back to you. I will keep you posted maybe by the end of this week. So communicate, let the other people know that you're on it. That's very, very important. And another thing is concise. Be concise and highlight. Maybe you don't mind bold certain words if you need people's attention. You highlight certain paragraphs if you need some immediate action. So those are the things to get yourself to be very efficient and effective in working communication. Now, one more thing I want to mention is be on time. Be on time. So, in certain cultures, I remember one time I hosted, we were invited to present career advice to a certain group of newcomers, and that group happened to be from the same culture. So we were there on time, but the participants were at least late for an hour. So in Canadian workplace, do not come to meetings late and do not respond to your communications late, because that's not going to build a good brand for yourself. Respect other people's time, respect your time, and come to meetings and really try to be concise and get your mind clear when you're communicating, and try to stay within the time period that they have committed to you, right? And we all know that we don't, we do not steal, right? Do not steal is one of the key virtues in almost all the cultures, in all the religions. But if you really think about it, what's the most valuable thing in another person's life? It is time, right? So do not steal other people's time. Let's just try to keep do things in time, on time, and do not come to meetings late. So that would be very much appreciated. I highlight this because it has happened for certain immigrant groups that created some workplace challenges, and it's not a good branding for yourself, right? The last thing is I want to talk about own your career. Own your career. Why that is important? Because for a lot of people, like we come to this country, we get a job, and then a lot of people stay in that job for 10 years, for 15 years, or stay in the entry-level job. And some people, they're okay with it because there might be different reasons they come to the country. But for a lot of us, we really want to bring our career to the next level, because immigrants are, majority of immigrants are more highly educated than the Canadian born. So a lot of the immigrants have a lot of experience from the home country. If you want to take your career to the next level, make sure that you need to take the ownership of your career. And why that is so important, because a lot of us are brought up in a kind of culture and a background where we just need to put our head down and do the good work. And then our expectation is our manager will notice that, and our manager will give us a promotion. It is the ideal state. It is not the case in Canada, because in Canada, individuals are encouraged to take charge of their career. Either when you are in negotiating with your boss about your salary or about your career opportunity. First of the thing you need to do is let your boss know that you're looking for an opportunity, you're looking for a career advancement, and ask your boss, what can I do to make myself more eligible to that level of career, right? And they will give you ideas. Maybe you can do job shadow, maybe you can learn from this, maybe you can take some courses, but make yourself very, very clear. Do not create an impression that I'm extremely happy. Yes, you're extremely happy with the role you're currently in, and I would love to do the job before I retire, until my retirement. Now let them know that yes, I'm very happy. I'm contributing as much as I can. I'm proud of what I'm doing, but I also have my career aspiration. I want my personal growth, and have that book that career check-in calls or meetings with your manager at least quarterly to discuss, because it is on you to bring that idea to your manager. Your manager has many other employees, right? Of course, they're supposed to support you in your development, but it is always you. And that is the same concept with finding a mentor. The importance of mentor cannot be overstated, because there's your manager. You talk about work, right? And the mentor will give you an idea, what direction of the career, the career map or career path or career ladder you want to go, and share some of their past experiences. If you had a conflict with with a colleague, right, with a team member. Sometimes maybe it's not very convenient or to share with your boss. Sometimes it is, you should, but sometimes you want some third-party person's opinion. You might go to your mentor, right? And maybe sometimes it's your interaction with your current manager. You're going through some challenges. Then you need a mentor. How did you deal with those situations? So make sure that you are in charge of the mentorship, that you book calls, and you initiate the discussion, invite your mentor to coffee, and do not wait for your mentor to come back to you. And also with mentorship, you do not have to have only one mentor. You might have one mentor for this aspect of your career. Oh, I'm interested in my next career move. I'm interested in becoming maybe accountant. So you get a mentor or two in that field. Oh, I also have a interest in maybe in personal wellness. You might have different right? So you find a mentor in that space. So keep that mentorship going and really appreciate the time that mentor put out for you, right? And the thing with the glass ceiling is, and that's something that a lot of immigrants would face or are still facing, because once you reach a certain career level, you can see that you don't see hope. Basically, you see the people who are at the most senior level, they are not the people who look like you and act like you and talk like you, right? And that's the moment where you need to find the strength in yourself. Yes, there's not people who look like me, talk like me, but you got to find yourself, what's my advantage, right? And that's why sometimes we say in our RBC slogan, your difference is your strength. Is what is the uniqueness that you bring to the table, not only in the interview, but in your career, right? So maybe it's you go back to your culture, right? Seek the strengths and the wisdom from your own culture, and really develop some innovation and ideas and the capabilities that people who are at the level, at the senior level, who do not look like you, talk like you, they do not have, right? And that's really, really important. You need to build that mindset that you deserve it. You deserve it. Do not be intimidated by the people who are on top of the leadership ladder and who do not look like you, talk like you. Sometimes it is your own mind that prevents you from going to the next stage of your career, right? You need to remove that for yourself and think about, this is my strength and this is, I can do it. And you just need, a lot of times you just need to network, and you need one manager to take that leap of faith in you. So that's something I think is very, very important when you reach that level of your career. And the other thing is, take the time to network, because sometimes when you start to think about, between when you start to think about the next career move till you finally land a job, it might take between 6 months to a year to 2 years, really. So network does not stop after you get a job. So one example, I was just having a career chat with someone from RBC. She made a goal, like during COVID situation when she's working from home, she's going to have 100 coffee chat with different areas, different people from different areas in the RBC, and just provide her some insight about what is it like to work in that space, and really help her understand what she would like to do for her next job, right? And the last question she gives to everybody is, can you introduce me to someone else who you think I would benefit from the chat? So create that nice, ecosystem, and so that people can introduce you, and you do not hesitate to pay it back. Maybe you can, after you get those insights, you can share with some newcomers, who's looking for jobs, right? So networking is always important, and in Canadian workplace, it's considered very, very important, and it's encouraged that you network. So I want to take that idea that networking is something bad. I don't want to do. I don't want to. I just need to do my best to perform well in my job. My manager is going to promote me. Take that idea out, right? Just consider networking as a part of your job, and so that you can really be considered one day for the next opportunity. So deliberately build your leadership capability that I mentioned a little bit. So really, you come from one culture background. When you're ready to be promoted to the next level, most likely the leadership team will think about, is that person ready to lead a diverse team? Right? Has that person demonstrated the capability to bring the team together to really encourage the different perspectives to come up from the team? So that's very, very important. So very, very deliberate when you're trying to go and build your career to the next level and showcase what you have been able to accomplish in your leadership capability category. Yeah, so that's something I think, every time when we talk about this, we don't have enough time. I'm going to stop here. I think that there are a few minutes left for people to ask questions. So feel free, if any of the topics I mentioned that interest you and you want to dig a little bit further, feel free to use the chat box.
Thank you, Vivian. So we do have a few minutes for questions. Let's take a look here. How does a bank respond to more mature candidates who might be returning to the workforce after raising a family?
So that's the good thing about Canada, right? And there's a very clear, workplace value and culture that age is not a consideration. Age is not. So there are a lot of people who women, they take the time to have babies and they decide to come back. And there are people who decide that they want a career change. They basically would go back to school and come back to work. Those people are welcome in the workplace. And there shouldn't be any discrimination against them because they are maybe older generation and maybe their co-workers are just new grads and they are in their 40s. There shouldn't be that kind of discrimination. So I would say take that out of your mind. That's another barrier you're potentially putting for yourself, and that would go against your career progression.
Thank you. What if someone's hired for a 6-month contract? Will the onboarding process will be nice and slow, or would they expect them to learn everything right away?
For 6 months contract, so it really depends on the role and depends on the team. It is, for all the different assignments, either is full-time or contract, they would, it's expected that they would give you a few weeks to really get a sense of the deliverables and get familiar with the existing systems, right? Say if you're an IT support person, to get a full understanding, at least at the basic level. So they should allow you a few weeks to get to the point that you can really deliver. So I would say on average, at least a month to 2, depend on how complex the project is and your deliverable is, right? At least a month or 2. But just they would be expecting you to ask a more and more related question as time goes on, and understand the system or understand the deliverable a little bit more and more. And they would expect you to ask the questions because they would be able to teach you or onboard, they walk you through certain elements that they think are important for your role. But there are a lot of things, maybe because they have been doing for so many years, they didn't realize that's, especially someone from another country, a totally different system, different way of working. there are things that they would not be thinking of, and that you are in charge of asking. Make sure that you ask a lot of questions. That's the best way to onboard most efficiently. Yeah.
Thank you. Next question is how should you expect to dress up in a corporate office of a bank?
How would you expect? I think the safest way is to dress up professionally, right? So there's the dress for the success code. When you go into the a bank, it's a very good question. Do we have a dress code? Sometimes we have casual Friday. Now we all work from home. It's expected that you dress. It depends on whether it's you're meeting with the team or you're meeting with client, and what's the client expectation. Of course, the dress formal is more expected when you're meeting with client, and when you're meeting with a team, sometimes maybe you want to be a little bit casual. So that's again, ask the manager, ask the team, because even different banks, different areas of the bank have different culture and dress code. For example, in our IT department, everybody wear jeans to work, right? And but in our personal and commercial banking, it is more expected that you dress more professionally with suits and a tie, that kind of environment. But I think with the more and more young generation entering the workforce, the company's dress code have evolved. We ask you to decide, and it's no longer, hey, you cannot wear a lot of piercings, you cannot have tattoos, you cannot dress like this, but we ask you to decide what is the way to dress appropriately. So maybe a little bit of observation with your team, with your boss, that'll be the first step. Yeah, that's a good question. Do I have another one, Sonia?
Sorry, I thought I was muted. I was going to say we are at the end of the webinar. Would you like to do one more?
One more. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Is working experience in a bank a requirement for any positions in a bank?
Not really. You mean you would have already worked in the job in a certain capacity of the role, and then to be able to get hired in another role, right? Not necessarily, but once you are in the job, right? Once you're already in the bank, and you want to develop your career, you want to search another job in the bank, I think it is very important to really network, and also it's very important to get yourself some assignment opportunity. Say you're in personal and commercial banking, you're a banking advisor, but you want to eventually switch into HR, right? You can ask your boss, what are some assignments that maybe HR is doing, maybe recruitment is doing, maybe I can host some webinars with our clients and invite HR people to come and talk about job search, right? Something like that. You create opportunity for yourself so that you can get ready for your next career move. So that's what I understand. I hope is the question that I was being asked. Because we're not talking about job search, right? It's more about once you're already in the role, and how do you develop your next career opportunity.
Thank you so much, Vivian. Is there anything you'd like to add before we sign off today?
So the last thing I want to stress is, really, I think very highly of the immigrant workforce, and I think it's very unfortunate that a lot of times immigrants are underpaid and undervalued. I think you just need to have that courage to speak up for yourself and really have that positive mindset and showcase what you can do and the different strength you can bring to the workplace, and do not settle. That's my advice. Thank you, everyone, and I hope this is helpful for you.
Thank you so much, Vivian. Everyone, I hope you have a great day ahead. Thank you for attending. We'll see you for our next webinar, which is on February 8th, also held by RBC. Go to our website and you can register for all our upcoming webinars. Thank you so much. Bye now.
Thanks, everyone.